Accusations flying between Russia, Ukraine, and several Western powers. Where does this leave the top-level talks scheduled for next week? Those talks are meant to defuse the crisis, but can they make much headway? For more on this, I'm joined by Anton Fedyashin. He's the executive director for the Institute for Russian Culture at American University. What's your take? You think they can make much headway in terms of talks next week, in terms of mediating this?
I think there's a lot of promise next Thursday in Geneva, but what everyone needs to realize is that Ukraine is going through a multi-layered crisis. There's an economic component, which is the most severe. There's the ethno-linguistic component, which no one knows how to deal with. And then there's the acute political crisis, and they're all reinforcing each other. And I think the beginning of a solution will have to start with economics, and that's where Russia has to be absolutely involved.
Let me ask you about the area that we're seeing a lot of the unrest. When Yanukovych fled the capital, this is the area he went to. It's been kind of the area that supported him early on. Donetsk, an area where he grew up. Nikita Khrushchev, who was the leader of the USSR back in the 60s, was a pipe fitter there when he was 15 years old. This is an area that has really strong ties to Russia. So if you're the Ukrainian government, how do you kind of pull them back this way when they may be wanting to shift in the other direction?
Well, the shift in the other direction comes in a very strange way. The overwhelming majority of people in eastern Ukraine don't want to be annexed or join Russia, but they do not want to be faced with the choice of either EU or Russia, because Russia is an integral part of both their culture but also their economy, which is even more important. Eastern Ukraine is the part of the country that produces most of its wealth. And so whatever happens in the next several months and years with IMF money coming in, with Russian money coming in, the eastern part of Ukraine will demand a great say about what socioeconomic reforms the IMF will implement in this country. And so federalization, which is what everyone's talking about, and it sounds like Yatsenyuk is finally promising to the east, is going to gridlock the Ukrainian government, but it may save the nation.
So how do you see it playing out then?
I think what's going to happen is that the government in Kiev will follow through on its promise of greater autonomy for eastern Ukraine. And then the eastern Ukrainian governors and the local parliaments, which will be elected and which will run that part of the country, will have a greater say in socioeconomic changes. What Ukraine is entering right now is going to be a mind-bogglingly complex socioeconomic negotiation between the eastern part. To be honest with you, the next president and prime minister of Ukraine have really nothing good to look forward to. This is going to be a messy and complicated process.
Well, you were talking about the economy. Natural gas comes from Russia. The prices ballooned, the debt there. How do they work their way through that?
They come to an agreement about already $2 billion worth of debt. This is all going to have to be done in a basket with political. The Russians came out today and articulated what it is that they want. Federalization form. All of this will have to be negotiated after place in May. They are not willing and make concrete with the current government.
I've got time for one more question, which is NATO says they're massing troops on the border. Russia says, no, that's not true. How do you sort that one?
Well, this is a very complicated issue. The Russians say that they're not massing troops at the border, and NATO has not actually produced any hard evidence of all of this being true. It makes sense for NATO to argue this because this is a military organization. We'll see how it plays out.
Anton, thanks so much. Really appreciate your insights.